My name is Beverly Garcia, and I was the program coordinator of the CNA program. It was a special class taught under a federal grant. And the grant was specifically targeting certain populations of students that could enter, and the grant was to include an IBEST portion of CNA. The grant was written to target folks who had been unemployed or underemployed. So part of our process of intake was to ensure that all the students met these eligibility requirements. They had to be either laid off from a job and currently on an unemployment insurance claim, or underemployed, which had to do with a low income level. So it was kind of interesting because it was a little bit of some proof whether the students were going to perform well in the class in terms of dedication, because they had to go through a lot of hoops just to get through the eligibility requirements. The challenges to fill the cohort of this special population was that not only did they have to meet the unemployment or the underemployed, but then the folks that met the underemployed, they probably did not have a lot of education already. So then they may not have done well in the kind of meeting the preferred prerequisites of math and English. So that's where having I think what happened in this situation really was, when we looked at the pool of students, we had to eliminate them if they, didn't meet the requirements. And then, depending on how they scored on their prerequisite of math and English, if they were close, we wanted to include them, because we knew with the IBEST model that we could offer that extra assistance so that they would still perform well. And the whole purpose of this program, the funding, was to move people off unemployment or people who had been long-term unemployed and start a career, have this beginning of a long career and potentially move up throughout the nursing career ladder. So now we take someone who may have been second, third generation poverty, and now we're creating an opportunity where they can get their education, they become full-time employed, and they're paying taxes. And now they're becoming a different role model for a younger generation. I think the extra challenge of coordinating a class that has two teachers is understanding my role to make sure that I can be a good liaison and support any rapport between the faculty. I feel like we were kind of spoiled here because we already have that climate that the faculty can really already do work well together, and they want to support each other. So if you have that, you're going to be successful. If you don't have that, then that's an issue that you want to make sure you address and resolve as you're implementing an IBEST piece of the class. One success, just to show you how dedicated some of these folks are to changing their lives, is we found out through the grapevine, she'd already been enrolled in the class. Part of being in this program was that they could get what was called supportive services, which would be bus passes or other things to make them successful. So we found out through the grapevine, meaning the other students in the class, that she was walking about 6 or 7 miles a day just to get to class, because the supportive service bus pass didn't get started early enough. So we found that out, and apparently some folks all donated a tiny bit of money each and got her a bus pass for the rest of that month. But that's the dedication of, she knew she wasn't going to let herself down or not complete this program. Another student, I'm just remembering her, her first name is Marianne, and she was really struggling in the academic class, the academic portion of the class. And it was to the point where she may not be able to stay in the class because by a certain week, you have to have performance at a certain level. And she was definitely taking advantage of the additional basic skills classes, and then we found out that she was also working towards a GED at the same time, being enrolled in this full-time CNA class, at the same time being a mom of 2 young girls. And I just remember her story. She said, no, you can't give up on me, because I'm not giving up on myself. My study skills are improving. Now we have a different thing going on at night. My kids do their homework and I do my homework, and we all are doing our homework together. And I can't stop that. I have to keep going for them. So that was, and she did. She continued to succeed, and she passed the class. When she went to take her boards, she passed the boards, both the written and the clinical part, and now she's a CNA. I had managed workforce development programs, and I knew about the population, but IBES was new to me, so I just researched it. I did a little research, and most of all, I found some colleagues that had the background and spent a few hours sitting down with me and explaining to me what IBES means, what that additional learning can provide. And then my role as a coordinator was just to support the faculty to make sure that there was enough time built in to the curriculum to offer those additional classes or those small group exercises. So really just learning as much as you can about it, finding out what had already worked, and then customizing it to work for your student population and your faculty.